And welcome to New Jersey Politics with Laura Jones. I am Laura Jones, and we're so glad to have you here. On January 20th, Congresswoman Mikey Sherrill will be sworn in as New Jersey's 57th governor, becoming the state's second female governor, the first Democratic woman to hold the office, and the first female military veteran to lead any U.S. state. Sherrill, a former Navy helicopter pilot and federal prosecutor, defeated Republican Jack Ciattarelli in a landslide last November, continuing Democratic control of the governor's office for a third consecutive term. Meantime, Democrats in New Jersey have increased their control in the state legislature. So how will Republican lawmakers navigate a Democrat supermajority in Trenton? Standing by is Jeanette Hoffman, Republican strategist and president of Marathon Public Affairs. First, though, we're going to be diving into what the handover of the governor's office means and that intricate process of transitioning from the outgoing governor's office, Phil Murphy, to the new administration, Governor-elect Mikey Sherrill. Joining me now is Micah Rasmussen, director of the Revovich Institute for New Jersey Politics at Rider University. Micah, welcome to the show. Good to see you.
You too. So happy to be back with you, Laura.
Yep. All right. So a lot of moving pieces going on in Trenton right now. But with this being the same party transition, a Democratic governor, Governor Murphy, to Governor-elect Mikey Sherrill, is this going to make the process a little bit smoother compared to other transitions when you are switching between Democrat, Republican, Republican to Democrat? What do you think?
It does in some ways make it smoother. There's a lot more sharing. There's a lot more of a sense of how can we provide continuity. Those are all easier things to maneuver. But this is really a change in guard. It's a change in personnel. And so no matter what, those people are all changing. We're going to have a new treasurer. We're going to have a new attorney general, a new governor staff. And so those things are all being put in place as we speak. It's a lot of people, is a lot of moving pieces, a lot of moving parts. We often talk about how the governor of New Jersey is the most powerful governor in the nation. Well, one of the primary reasons for that is because of all the people that she appoints across government. It's how she sets her footprint and her fingerprints all over every decision that gets made, is that she's putting people in place who are loyal to her and loyal to the agenda that she's setting. And so that's a lot of people. I mean, it could be as many as 15,000 people. Those are all not taking place right now, but those are the people, various boards, various commissions. They're not all full time. Some of them are volunteer, but those are the people that will come before her for appointment, for reappointment over time. Right now, it's really the cabinet that the primary principal department leaders that she's got to put in place as quickly as possible so that we can have a functioning government.
Well, I guess that was my next question. So, Governor-elect Mikey Sherrill, Lieutenant Governor-elect Dale Caldwell, he's the chair of the transition team, right? So, when they're talking about policy action teams focusing on different issues like affordability, education, is that really the priority, or is it more ensure that we have a full cabinet in place? What are things that maybe can wait until after she's sworn in? Like what has to be done right now,
Yeah.
constitutionally speaking?
Yeah, yeah. So, constitutionally, the two offices, besides governor, that are specifically called for are the attorney general and the secretary of state. So we know that the lieutenant governor is also going to serve as the secretary of state. That is a common configuration when we set up this office in New Jersey, 20 years ago. We said that the lieutenant governor should lead another department or agency so that they have something to do. They have a day job. They're not just waiting for something to happen to become acting governor. So those are the two that are specified, and the governor has announced her pick for Attorney General, Jen Davenport, and she's gotten rave reviews and positive reviews. She's got law enforcement experience. She's got experience in the Attorney General's office. And so that has been a positive pick. But I think the first priority, to answer your question, is to get that cabinet put in place so that she can have a team of advisors around her, but more importantly, to lead those executive branch agencies across state government.
Governor-elect Mikey Sherrill won in a landslide. That said, how important is it as she is working on staffing her administration, as you mentioned, from cabinet positions, agencies, authorities, to reach out across the aisle and to have some representation there? Is that important at all, or did voters send a message saying, no, we don't want that?
I guess we'll see. You always hear a new governor say that they want to have a cabinet that's representative of New Jersey, that looks like New Jersey. And I agree with you. The question of whether or not that means people from the other side of the aisle, from the other party, that is a very fair question. Many governors have answered by saying, yes, I should have all voices around the table. I want to have representation. I want to get the advice of all perspectives, and so that includes Republicans. We'll see what that means for her. I would say we have many examples of um, cabinet members of the opposite party of the governor who have given good advice and given good service to the governor. So I wouldn't say that anybody should be ruled out on the basis of partisanship, although I fully expect the majority of her cabinet, most of her cabinet, is going to be her party.
It's always interesting as a reporter to watch things unfold. And I'm sure from your perspective as well, you've been a part of an administration, the McGreevey administration. You see certain faces come and go. It's a very small political world in Trenton. And even though Mikey Sherrill, is coming with her congressional background, some of the names I'm seeing, are very familiar. It's like, oh, I remember this person. I remember that person. So there is a little bit of continuity. Similar faces maybe in new roles, but I find that fascinating how Trenton works.
I do too. And, even if you take one specific task like the budget, I would say the number of people who really know the ins and the outs of the state budget are very small. And then if you count, people on one party who know the budget, that's an even smaller number. You've got former treasurers, you've got former agency heads within the Treasury Department, you've got legislative people who have been the chief advisors on the budget. So it's a really small universe. And those become the top names probably when you think about who she is going to consider for a new treasurer. The same is going to be true of law and public safety, the attorney general's office. The people who become top contenders are the people who have some familiarity with the department. And you see that again with the Attorney General designate, Jennifer Davenport. She does have experience. She was the number two for Kabir Graywell when he was Attorney General. So there is a sense of familiar faces, and that's because those are the people who have experience with these departments.
Yeah, can you just talk a little bit about the security and logistics playing a role too? Because you've got to brief the incoming governor on sensitive state matters, whether it's preparing the governor's mansion, the state house. So, what are some of the other perhaps less visible but really essential elements when it comes over to handing over that executive power?
Yeah, it's a great question because look, you think about the fact that an additional nominee who she's going to have to now plan for is the head of the state police, the new superintendent of the state police. This was one that didn't necessarily have to happen, but she sent the signal to the outgoing superintendent that she wanted somebody new. She wanted a new chapter. She wanted a chance to turn the page. And so that will go on to that roster of people who she's going to have to confront. But yes, I wouldn't say that Drums Blackett is at the top of the list. Why? She said she's not going to live there. She said she's got children in school in Montclair where she lives, so she will be commuting. I would expect her to spend part of her time at that governor's office in Newark, which has been in Gateway for a long time, and Governor Murphy spent time up in that office as well. I would expect her to split time and be down in Trenton when the legislature's in session, when her cabinet meets, when it's important for her to be there. So I think we really are going to see how she views this as something where she needs to be in Trenton all the time, or does she need to be there during the times when it's critical? So, look, the state house, I know you as longtime observers of the state house and people who have spent a lot of time in the state house, the security there has definitely changed. It is not as freewheeling as it used to be. Ever since it opened back up from the renovations to the State House, the restoration, it is like a different place. It really is locked down. So I would expect that very much to continue. I think there probably are going to have to be changes involving her home that we don't even know about and shouldn't know about. But there are definitely a lot of precautions that have to be taken in this unfortunate age of political violence that we're all dealing with.
Historically, New Jersey hasn't seen the same party hold the governorship for 3 straight terms. That hasn't happened in over 6 decades. So, can you talk a little bit about how the change in tenure affects the dynamics of the transition?
Yeah, that's right. We've only had this happen once. First of all, we've only had governors succeed themselves since 1948, the beginning of our new constitution. And in all that time, you couldn't, before that, you had the governors had a 3-year term and they couldn't run for reelection. They had to sit out and they had to come back. And we did have governors do that. But ever since then, ever since 1948, governors have been able to run for reelection and they have that 4-year term. Only once in that entire period, Governor Meyer was elected in two terms in the 50s, and then he was succeeded by Governor Hughes for 2 terms in the 60s. Those 4 terms for Democrats are the only 4 terms where we've had one party with that kind of continuity. Every other time, it's been a pendulum swinging back and forth. And so this is going to be a little bit of a of how is she going to set a new tone? How is she going to set her own agenda? I have no question that she's going to do that. She did not campaign on a third Murphy term. So I will be very interested to see how she strikes out her own balance. And I think part of that is with new faces, a new team, and we'll see how it goes. We'll see how it goes on a policy level and on a decision making level as well.
A lot of changes. Mike Rasmussen, a familiar face that we are always happy to see from the Revich Institute for New Jersey Politics at Rider University. Thank you.
Thank you, Laura.
At AmeriHealth, we understand what's important to you. It's why we offer some of the lowest cost health plans in New Jersey, with access to one of the state's largest networks of doctors and hospitals. Plus, with free 24/7 virtual care, you can see a doctor anytime and anywhere. And we're committed to giving back to help make a difference in our communities. Learn more at amerihealth.com. A health plan for everyone.
Play it like the New York Sirens. Live in the spotlight. Etch your name in lights. Embrace the noise. And when it calls you, turn it up. Get louder. Play it like they'll hear us everywhere. Because this is our team. New York Sirens. Play it big.
It is a new year and a lot of new faces in Trenton, with Democrats expanding control in the legislature and continuing to occupy the governor's office. Republicans face significant challenges in influencing policy on key issues like affordability, property taxes, and energy costs. Joining me now is Jeanette Hoffman, a Republican strategist and president of Marathon Public Affairs. Jeanette, good to see you. Thanks for being here.
Thanks, Laura. It's great to see you.
Yeah. So Governor-elect Sherrill's landslide win and the Democrats expanding their control in the assembly to a supermajority really presents, well, would you say it's a major setback for Republicans? And again, from your perspective as a Republican strategist, what went wrong? How's the Republican Party trying to reshape and move forward heading into 2026?
Well, it's certainly not the outcome that Republicans expected or desired. I'll just say that. I think 2025, if you look what happened in New Jersey and Virginia and some other states like Georgia, you really saw just almost like a blue tidal wave around the country. And I think it really was a referendum on President Trump and his policies and tariffs and things like that. So, I don't put a lot of stake in the fact that, that some of these legislative districts are going to stay blue for much longer. I think Republicans will pretty quickly take those seats back in 2, if not 4 years. That being said, the Democrats do have a bigger margin in the assembly. They have a veto-proof majority, and the Senate stays the same because it wasn't the Senate election. So Mikey Sherrill has an opportunity to get more things on her agenda done than she would have if it had been a smaller margin of victory. But Republicans do have the opportunity. They are the loyal opposition to Mikey Sherrill, and if there are ideas that they don't think represent the voters of New Jersey very much, they have an opportunity to stand up and speak their minds.
Yeah, well, it's been a long time since Democrats have had this supermajority in the lower house. So can you talk a little bit about how Republicans are going to, what leverage they have? It is limited. So what strategies might they employ, whether it's focusing on bipartisanship, public outreach, highlighting areas of potential overreach by the majority? How would you be advising?
Well, listen, if there's areas of common ground and there's areas in which Republicans and Democrats can work together and be bipartisan, that will certainly benefit the people of New Jersey. Listen, school funding, it's an area which I think Republicans and Democrats may be able to work together to get a new formula that can help everybody and can help lower property taxes. Affordability is a number one concern. You'll hear both Republicans and Democrats talk about that. And, I think if those are areas in which both parties can work together, that's great. However, Republicans have an obligation that they need to hold Democrats accountable for taxpayer spending. And one of the first issues you're going to see in the Sherrill administration, she's going to have to deal with that state budget. And it's going to be a little bit of a mess, Laura. I mean, Governor Murphy, he spent a lot of money over the last 8 years. I think there's going to be a little bit of a deficit. And, Governor Sherrill, she's going to have to figure out how to make that up. So Republicans need to be a watchdog of taxpayer dollars and really kind of call out some of the overspending by the Democrats.
Yeah, I mean, to the victor goes the spoils, but also with that comes all of the problems, and they're going to be asked to be held accountable because people's electric bills are going up. Everything is so expensive. So Governor-elect Sherrill has positioned herself as a moderate Democrat, and she is focused on affordability, standing up to federal policies. So, what opportunities do you see for Republicans to be able to perhaps work with her on shared priorities? Because when the rubber meets the road, she's going to have to, like you said, balance a budget. The reality of being governor is going to set in really quick.
Yeah, absolutely. And as you just mentioned, energy rates are through the roof. We talked about that on my show, Energy Matters, that I host on New Jersey. But I credit her with, one of her top priorities during the campaign. She said she was going to freeze energy rates. People believed her. And now she's going to have to deliver on that promise. How she talked about it, she said she was going to hold utility companies accountable and tell them to freeze their rates. Now, a lot of people questioned that and said, is that even legally possible to do it? So I think Republicans have an opportunity because they have said energy rates for far too long are way too high. And Governor Murphy's energy master plan was a complete failure because it only really relied on offshore wind and didn't allow for the expansion of nuclear, of natural gas, or any other fuel sources. So Republicans have an opportunity to work with Mikey Sherrill, if she's true to her word, in making energy more affordable by expanding natural gas, expanding nuclear and other sources. But, whether she can do what she said, which is to freeze energy rates by telling utility companies they can't raise them, we're not really sure. So that is going to be one of the biggest tests of her administration right off the bat.
Right, I mean, that's the thing. She said on day one, this is what I'm going to do. What is the reality of this is what I'm going to do? And well, she can say, well, I did it. It wasn't successful. How likely is she to be successful? Again, somebody who hosts Energy Matters, knowing you've been around Trenton a long time, knowing how things work, you can say, well, I did what I said I was going to do, but what is the reality of what property taxpayers in New Jersey might see when it comes to energy rates? I mean, is it all rhetoric?
Yeah. Well, campaigning and governing are two different things, as you well know, right? It's very easy to say something in a campaign and a slogan that people hear in a 30-second commercial, but governing and actually doing that thing are two very different issues. So, she said she's going to tell the utility companies just don't raise the rates. Legal experts have said, well, you really can't do that. They're private companies. You can't just do that as the governor. And she has another really interesting thing. She appointed a new attorney general. She just announced is going to be sworn in. This new attorney general was general counsel to PSE&G, one of the major utility companies in New Jersey. So the attorney general will have to recuse themselves on energy issues. So if she's going to have a big legal battle with the utility companies, her own attorney general can't get involved. So that's a really curious situation right there. Number one, she may have to rethink her own strategy, her own promise she made to New Jersey taxpayers on how she's actually going to freeze energy rates. Whether, she has to chart a different path and maybe, expand natural gas and nuclear. These are things that she can do to make energy more affordable. It just might not happen on day one. I think New Jersey voters will be happy when their energy bills come down, but I just don't think it's going to be happening right away as she said she would do it.
Well, that's the reality, or that's the question I think a lot of people are going to be wanting to know. All right, you said this was going to happen. All we had to do was hold on to the new year, new administration. Why aren't they coming
Right.
down? People want action now, and the wheels in Trenton move very slow. Even if she is able to, put on paper on that executive order, freeze energy rates. But the reality is this could be a very long process. There is no. Let me ask you: is there a quick fix to energy? Because I would think if there was a quick fix, it would have been done, no matter Republicans, Democrats in control.
Well, yeah. I mean, listen, it's about infrastructure, right? It's expanding infrastructure. We were importing, we were exporting energy in New Jersey off, to other states because we had so much of it when Governor Murphy came in. Now we're relying on other states to get our energy onto the grid. We're buying coal from West Virginia just so we can get enough energy onto our grid for New Jersey homeowners to keep their lights on, to keep their heat on. So we're going to have to look at new ways to get, to get natural gas. If we can have nuclear, that remains to be seen. I don't think it's going to happen overnight. Fortunately, President Trump at the federal level has allowed for new natural gas to be drilled here in America. So natural gas is actually coming down in price. So that's fortunate. We're lucky to have that. But listen, I think she knows that something needs to be done. I mean, she's talked about nuclear, batteries, solar. Those are all great energy alternatives. But it's not as simple as signing an executive order to tell energy companies to just stop charging more, because what we really need is more energy supply.
Finally, Jeanette, with the time we have left, what advice would you give to those Republican leaders still in the legislature to really effectively represent their constituents and all of the people, who didn't vote for Mikey Sherrill, in a legislature where Democrats, really do have such strong control? We haven't seen a majority like this in decades. Is it about the building coalitions, preparing for veto overrides, gearing up for a future election? What advice?
Yeah, I would just say, listen, Jack Ciattarelli as a Republican candidate, even though he lost the election, he got more votes than any Republican gubernatorial candidate in New Jersey history. That's still a lot of votes. And a lot of people want affordability. A lot of people want their tax dollars to be accountable in Trenton. A lot of people, want change in Trenton. So I would say be a voice for those people. Be a voice for your constituents. You were elected to represent them, and stand up and make sure that, those voices are counted for. It's politics can change in the blink of an eye. This is just because Mikey Sherrill's governor and there are more Democrats than there used to be doesn't mean that's going to be true in 4 years. And in 2 years, the legislature could look a lot different. But, Republicans need to continue to be the voice of common sense, the voice of taxpayer accountability.
Jeanette Hoffman, thank you so much for taking the time to talk to us.
Oh, it's always great to be with you, Laura. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to you too. And that'll do it for today. I'm Laura Jones. Thanks so much for watching New Jersey Politics. We look forward to seeing you back here next time.
At AmeriHealth, we understand what's important to you. It's why we offer some of the lowest cost health plans in New Jersey, with access to one of the state's largest networks of doctors and hospitals. Plus, with free 24/7 virtual care, you can see a doctor anytime and anywhere. And we're committed to giving back to help make a difference in our communities. Learn more at AmeriHealth.com. A health plan for everyone.
Play it like the New York Sirens. Live in the spotlight. Etch your name in lights. Embrace the noise. And when it calls you, turn it up. Get louder. Play it like they'll hear us everywhere. Because this is our team. New York Sirens. Play it big.